Okay, I want you to make yourselves comfortable. We're going to go on a magical, mythical mystery tour this evening through time and space. And we're going to meet Tara, and more specifically, the moment of her birth. And what I'd like you to do is actually come along with me on this journey, if you dare to. You may choose to stay at home, and you may choose to come with me. If you're coming with me, the first thing you're going to need to do is leave that logical, analytical mind behind and put the creative side of your mind into gear right now. You don't need to visualize. Just let the imagination take over. I don't know if you know, but Ireland, many, many years ago, I wanted to say fado, fado, long, long ago, Ireland was under great oak forests. And in the Celtic language, the oak tree is called dúr, which means doorway, and it means doorway to the other realms. So I want you just to bear that in mind as we start to move on to our journey. And very close to me here is a place called the Hill of Tara. I'm sure some of you know it. It's very beautiful up there, particularly on a misty dawn morning. And it was a misty dawn morning that I had my first adventure with Tara there. There's a place, if any of you know anything about the Hill of Tara, there's a place that's commonly known as the banqueting hall. Actually, in Irish, it's known as Teach Mhuí Curte. And that translates as the house of the middle way. And I don't know about you, but that appeals to me because I've heard that phrase somewhere else. The house of the middle way. I'm sure somebody suggested that that's the way we need to go. So that's where we're starting tonight's journey. And it said that from the house of the middle way, 5 great highways emanated out to all parts of Ireland. And apparently some of those roads can still be partially traced to this day. Again, 5 great highways going to each of the areas or the realms across Ireland: north, south, east, west, and central. And we're going to take the Western Road, which of course takes us west. And if any of you know anything about the mandala of the 5 Buddhas, you'll know that that's taking us towards the realm of Amitabha and his family, the Padma family, or the Lotus family. But we're not going there right now. We're actually going to keep traveling west, out past the west of Ireland, out across Clare, the cliffs of Moher, out towards Tirnanog, that mythical land of eternal youth. And we're going to keep traveling through time and space. And how are we going to do this? Well, that's my secret, but I'm going to share it with you this evening. On the Hill of Tara, there are fairy trees. And my granddaughter and I often go up there to find the fairy tree. And if you find the fairy tree, particularly on a misty morning at dawn, if you're very still very quiet, you'll begin to see another form emerging from the mist, and it's the great oak tree. The oak tree, which is the doorway to the other realm. And that's our way to begin. Traveling through that mythical oak tree, traveling westwards, across the land of Ireland, across time and space, out across the ocean, past Tirnanog, and just past Tirnanog, we turn slightly and we start heading northwest. And if we traveled further north, of course, we'd reach the northern region, which is the family of Amoghasiddhi. And Amoghasiddhi is actually Tara's partner. The family of Padma is her family, Amoghasiddhi being her partner. But we're not stopping there either. We're going to keep traveling. Traveling through timeless space, spaceless time, across the realms, perhaps seeing many, many mythical and magical lands beneath you. We're not stopping anywhere until we reach a particular land. And this is a world system. It's within the world system known as manifold light. So you can imagine what it looks like. The brightness of the sun, beautiful trees, plants, creatures. And we've moved back in time to beyond even the pyramids, beyond Newgrange, beyond Stonehenge. And in this world of manifold light, there's a princess, and her name is Moon of Knowledge. And she's devoted to the Buddha of this era. And his name is Dundavisara, or the Lord of the Drum. And like the Buddhas that we know, he's very kind, he's very compassionate. And Princess Moon of Knowledge likes him a lot. She really likes what he has to say and what he teaches. And so because, of course, she's a princess, she has all sorts of beauty and jewels and riches that she can share. So she gives vast offerings to this Buddha and to his retinue. So she supports the monks, she supports the nuns, she supports anyone that follows this Buddha. And in return, the Buddha taught her. And as a result, she became very spiritually advanced and she developed the bodhicitta. Very quickly, some of the monks began to notice that she had a different air about her. There seemed to be a glow. And they recognized that as the bodhicitta shining through her. So one of the monks took her aside one day and he had a little word in her ear. And what he whispered was, "You're very advanced. Now what you need to do to go the rest of the way in your spiritual journey is you need to pray to become a man in your next life. And then you will be able to reach enlightenment and you will be able to follow the career of a bodhisattva." Can you imagine what she had to say to that? She was a fiercely independent princess. She wasn't behind the door and speaking her mind. So she gave him a look. I don't know if you know the look. It might be the look a mother gives you when you've stepped out of line. It might be the look a woman gives you if you stepped out of line. So you know that look. Because the thing about it was, the Princess Moon of Knowledge knew that actually, as far as being male or female was totally irrelevant to enlightenment. In fact, it was totally irrelevant in reality. It was just a concept. It was just something that has been emerging over time and space. So after she'd wilted him with that look, she made a vow. And what she said was, there are many, many people who desire enlightenment in a man's body. And of course, she was saying this in the calmest way possible. But few, if any, wish to work for the benefit and welfare of sentient beings as a woman. Therefore, on this day, I make this vow, that until samsara is empty, I shall work for the benefit of sentient beings in a woman's form, in a woman's body. So that sent the monk scurrying on his way. He didn't really know what to do with that information. He wasn't as spiritually advanced as she. So what happened after this? Well, Princess, she stayed in her palace and she started practicing meditation, some of the meditations that the Buddha had been teaching her. And as she practiced, her practice was getting deeper and deeper, and she was moving into samadhi, into the states. And she moved into a particular samadhi known as the samadhi of saving sentient beings. I don't know about you, but I have a wee bit of a way to go before I reach that depth of concentration. It's an unimaginably powerful state of concentration. But she was able to do this at every morning and every evening meditation. And she sat at both every day. And each time that she did, she managed to rescue 1,000,000 sentient beings from samsara. So we're actually going to leave her there because she actually does that for 10 million years. But another little part of the story is that the Buddha recognized what she was doing, and he made a prediction, as many Buddhas do in the other eras and world realms. And what he predicted was that she was going to come back in enlightened form as a Buddha, as Tara. And she was going to do that in many different worlds over many different times. And of course, fortunately for us, one of those worlds that she has come back to is Earth, our world. So back to those highways. We're going to move along now. We're actually moving back at this stage, back towards our own time. But we're coming back to that Western highway. We're coming to the Western land, the Western realm of Amitabha. And there's a bodhisattva that's in this realm. His name is Avalokiteshvara. But I'm not going to tell you about him tonight. All I'm going to tell you is that sometimes when we reach this realm, what can happen is that if you look up, you will see the most beautiful pair of sapphire eyes looking out. And in those sapphire eyes, if you look deeply, you'll see time evolving. You will see the circle of life and death. You'll see all the suffering of all sentient beings through all of time. And you'll see how relentless that suffering is and how it consistently continues in circle and cycle after cycle after cycle. And as we watch these blue eyes, what begins to happen is that tears start to flow. These tears are flowing down. A white cloud has formed around the eyes. There's streamlets developing into riverlets of water, of tears. They're falling to the earth. And they're falling into a valley. And in this valley, a small pool of tears begins to develop. The tears continue, and the pool turns into a lake. But it doesn't stop there. The tears continue. But the next thing we notice is that the waters have started to become ruffled. You know, that sort of bubbling up that can happen when something is emerging from the deep. And can you imagine what's emerging? I know I couldn't until I saw it. The most beautiful, delicate, pale blue lotus. Its stem coming up out of the water. Its petals gently unfolding as the tears continue. And as the tears continue to fall on those petals, they begin to open a little more and a little more. And as they do, those tears fall into the soft heart of this lotus. And they pool there and they begin to form a white moon mat. At this stage, I don't know about you, but I was mesmerized. Above the moon mat, a green light begins to appear. It's very faint in the beginning, a wee bit like a rainbow as it's beginning, but then it gets steadily stronger. And as it does, it begins to take form. And you begin to see that it's taking the form of a very beautiful female. We are witnessing the birth of Tara. And the birth of any sentient being is a profound moment. So just taking a breath as we sit witnessing this birth. Looking at her, you begin to notice that she's jade green in color. And she's not quite solid. Although she looks solid in that there's an outline there, it's more that she's made of light or mist. It's quite hard to describe, but you know it's a female form and you know that she's sitting here. She has one leg drawn up under her, her left leg drawn up in the meditative pose. Her right leg is reaching outwards as if she's about to step up and out into the world. And as she does, as this leg is going forward, another beautiful, delicate lotus flower emerges from the lake. And it becomes a step for her foot. And that's where she rests it. She's wearing a beautiful rainbow-colored skirt. Once again, it's as if it's made of mist, moving and flowing in the breeze. You see a white meditation sash. The light catches something and you realize she's wearing gold and silver jewelry, necklaces, a tiara, earrings, bracelets, armlets, anklets, draped in precious jewels. The first time I saw her, I eventually plucked up the courage to look a little longer. And when I did, I began to notice her hands as well. Her long, delicate fingers, jade green as well. And her left hand was pointing upwards, with her thumb and ring finger contact with each other. The other three fingers pointing up. And I felt that there was nothing to fear. I felt like she was offering me the gift of fearlessness. Caught between her finger and thumb was the stem of yet another blue lotus, and that was moving up to her shoulder, where there were three blooms, one in full bloom, one in tight bud, and one halfway there. What I noticed of her right hand was that it was open, the fingers pointing down to the earth, and was resting on her lap, just at her right knee. Her hair, the most beautiful shade of black, tumbling down across her shoulders. You know that inky blue blackness that some people are lucky enough to have as a natural hair color? And then her eyes. Her eyes are that beautiful, deep sapphire blue that we saw in that cloud. And like those eyes, there's a depth when you look at them. An all-seeingness, a kindness and a compassion. It's like smiling eyes. And Tara's eyes are smiling. Her lips, beautiful, red. And then she smiles. And her smile makes hearts tremble. Because it melts your heart. Now, a little known fact about Tara is that she actually has a sense of humor. There's lots of things about Tara. We just think of her as being kind and compassionate and swiftly moving to come to our aid. But there's lots of other aspects to her. And one of them is her sense of humor. And so when she laughs, it's like, I was trying to think of this, it's like wind chimes in the breeze. It's that beautiful, delicate laugh. Again, it lifts your heart. You don't want to get on the wrong side of her. Now, she always does it with compassion, but oh boy, does she mean business. If she thinks that you need a firm hand, she's well able to show it to you as well. But coming back to the moment of her birth, what we also see is that from her heart, there's the most delicate rainbows emerging. And what these are doing is that they're dancing, they're moving ever outwards. They're being formed by those continuous tears that are still falling, with the light from our heart shining through the tears. And these rainbows are whispering. And what they're whispering to the lake, first of all. And of course, what happens is the lake becomes still. The rainbows continue to whisper out to the universe, to each one of us. Do you want to know what they're whispering? I'll tell you. They're whispering, Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Swaha. And that's never ending. And as we move back to the hill of Tara, that mantra is moving on the breeze. And if you listen very carefully, you will hear it. Tara is still in the world working for us. You'll find her in every green place, like many of you know already. You'll find her in the stillness. You'll find her in your moment of need, because you only have to think about her and she's already there coming to your aid. And of course, you can always call on her for help by simply chanting the mantra. And that's what we're going to do for the last few moments. Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. 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 Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha.